Lance, how did you find carnivore?
Well, I've let's go back to growing up. I was always active, very active. I played basketball and football. Um, we're always into sports. I was always very high metabolism. Never had to worry about weight. Spent just 8.5 years in the army, and when I got out, my wife and I moved up to North Dakota, and well, ended up in North Dakota eventually. And in my 30s, mid 30s, my metabolism started slowing down. I started gaining weight, which wasn't bad because I was still, 6'3", being 220 pounds isn't still that bad. Um, it really got bad. I quit chewing tobacco for about 5 years. And in that time, I had really bad acid reflux. And my way to treat the acid reflux was to eat, and got up to almost 300 pounds. And after about 5 years, well, there's a couple medicines in there too that I actually ended up taking for the acid reflux, and I didn't take it very long. It had some bad effects on my body for everything else, so I just stopped taking that. But I ended up starting chewing again, and just naturally lost about 50 pounds again. So I sell out about 250 and just sell it out there, and wasn't that bad. Um, we I was working out in the oil field, and I was very active in what I was doing, and got to a position where my main job wasn't out on the rig; it was actually in the office, and I got big again. Got up to 292 pounds, and then I started. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like how I felt. Started doing insanity. I did that for probably over 2 years, and got down to 212 pounds. Um, when I was Whenever I worked out, I wore a heart rate monitor. And then one day I went to work out and I couldn't get a heart rate. I was short of breath. It just wasn't normal. So when my wife came home, I told her, and she's like, "Okay, we're going to the ER." And they got me in there right away. I had AFib. I had an extra heartbeat. It was causing my AFib, and my heart rate was going from anywhere from like 25 to 160, and just fluctuating. I got put on some meds for that, and of course, there are adverse reactions or weight gain. They always say it's the rare, but that's what seemed to happen to me. As soon as I started taking them, I started gaining weight, even though I was working out 6 days a week. It didn't matter. Of course, I was eating the standard American diet. I ate a lot of vegetables, lean meats. You know, then in 2017, the medication stopped working. Actually, 2016 it stopped working, and I ended up having some more issues with my heart. And 2017, I had heart surgery. I had catheter ablation. They went in and found the spots that were telling my heart to beat extra, and got rid of those. And before that happened, though, my cardiologist, took me off of everything I was doing that I thought was healthy. Took me off of doing my workouts and doing any of the other things I was doing that for my health, and to eliminate that was not being the issue. So it was like probably 225 when that happened. When I had the surgery, I was back up to 250. After the surgery, I had really bad anxiety about working out and doing anything. So I just didn't work out. Uh, December of last year, I topped the scales at 347 pounds.
Wow, that
My
went up very fast.
It did. It didn't take long, and uh, well, I'm growing my beard back. I could play Santa last year, and I didn't need any padding. So um, I saw a doctor. She prescribed. Well, I was also on in 2020, summer of 2020. I test my blood pressure at home. Summer of 2020, my blood pressure is a little elevated, and when I say a little, it was dangerous. I was in the 200s over the 100s, and I felt fine. I didn't have any issues. Called them, got an appointment with a doctor, went in and saw them. They're like, "Oh, let me check that again." But ended up taking four medications, and one of them I took twice. So I was taking, to me, that's five medications I'm taking just to get my blood pressure into the 130s over the mid 80s. It never did come down to a normal range or get anywhere near where it should be. Um, but last December, I saw a doctor. She gave me a medication to curb my appetite, so it helped me lose weight. So December until August 22nd, I lost 12 pounds. And just about 9 months, 12 pounds. And this last summer, I started seeing videos on TikTok, Carnivore Ray, talking about his carnivore journey and what he was doing. And I was like, there's got to be more to this. So I went on YouTube and did some research and found a lot of the carnivore doctors, uh, Dr. Ken Berry, Anthony Chaffee, Sean Baker, Philip Ovadia. I did. I watched a lot of the carnivore doctors and what they were saying because to me it was making sense. And then Perry Mann with Healing Humanity, they're great people and great information on them. August 22nd, I went to work. My wife always made me these egg bites, piece of ham in a muffin tin, scrambled egg in it, some cheese. I always brought two of them to work with me in the morning because I had to have something to eat. And August 22nd, I didn't bring any lunch with me. Nothing just looked good, so I just decided not to bring lunch today. And I called my wife and told her, hey, why don't you stop by McDonald's, pick me up 4 quarter-pound patties, just the patties. And she's like, what? Why? I'm like, well, because I'm going to start eating this way now. She's like, I don't understand. I'm like, I'll talk about it when I get home. So she did. She got me the 4 quarter-pound patties, and that's when I started my carnivore diet.
And how have things been? So sorry, that was August 22nd.
Yep. August 22nd, 119 days ago.
Right. And what's happened in that time?
Well, I set my goal back in December of last year to get down to 275 pounds. Um, that's the last time I remember not feeling bad and not having my allergies and all the aches and pains. And so this morning, actually, when I weighed myself, I made my goal today. 275 pounds. So it's on the carnivore diet. On that side, it's 60 pounds. It's 72 pounds altogether that I've lost in the last year.
That's awesome. And has anything else happened with your health? Like, for example, you mentioned anxiety and stuff before. Has things like that calmed down at all?
Oh yeah, I'm here doing this. I would never do this before. There's no way I would be on here talking to somebody about what I'm doing. I'm off all five of my blood pressure medications. My allergies are gone. Uh, I don't take that medication to curb my appetite anymore because the meat does it by itself. So
That's awesome. And so you're off the blood pressure meds. Like, is your blood pressure still it's normal now?
it's normal. It's averaging probably around 115 to 117 over 77, 78, and it's pretty normal like that every time I check it now.
That's a massive difference from 200 over 100 and no
It
medication.
is. Absolutely. And the only nutritional advice I was ever given was to eat less food. A handful is what you measure with, Yeah. I
The
can't do
doctors are very in depth about their nutrition advice, aren't they?
right. I mean, I had a 17-ounce ribeye for dinner tonight. That doesn't fit in the palm of my hand.
Wow, that's awesome. Um, so your wife was kind of the first person that was involved in that first carnivore meal, getting you those quarter pounder patties. What does your
Yep.
wife think about this?
Actually, now she thinks it's great. She's seen my weight come off. She's seen my attitude and everything change. I mean, I'm a happier person now. I I used to be kind of hangry all the time, you know. So, but my wife's a type 2 diabetic, and she's about 95% carnivore.
Oh, nice. And
Yeah,
has going that way with carnivore kind of helped her with the type 2 diabetes at all?
it has. She still has issues with her blood sugars, and we're working on figuring out what it is that's causing her blood sugars. I I think she needs to do a little more walking, just exercise to help her blood sugars and to get her insulin down. Because I know her, I'm I'm not a doctor, but I've learned a lot about this here from the doctors. I think her insulin levels are too high in her body, and she's just staying too high in her sugars. Um,
But she hasn't been doing it as long as you either, right?
no, she hasn't. She's been doing it about half the amount of time I have been, and again, she's not doing it straight carnivore. She still has some stuff she shouldn't have. She likes her cheeses. She likes her electrolyte drink that has stevia in it, and the stevia is one of the artificial sweeteners that will raise her blood sugars, but she likes the electrolyte.
Got it. Yeah. Um, how about the rest of the family? Have they reacted at all to it? Is it like, "Dad, what are you doing with this eating meat all the time?"
No, actually, they've been really good about it. They've all noticed what I've done. My son-in-law, he was big like me. He's doing it now also. Yeah, it's pretty nice to see that. Um, One of my son-in-law's friends, I we go to hockey a lot. We have a junior hockey team here, and I was speaking to him at one of the junior hockey games, and I'd mentioned at that time I'd lost about 30 pounds, and I told him what I was doing, and he's like, "So, what do you do?" I'm like, "I just eat meat. That's basically what I do: eat red meat, bacon, beef butter, bacon, eggs." And he has had some autoimmune issues. He missed some work at one point because of it, and now he's him and his wife are doing it. They're doing more of a ketovore, but he has had some really good results on it too, and he's doing really good.
That's awesome. And it's definitely getting momentum, because everyone has some influence on whether it's family or friends to some degree, and when they
Right?
see the results, it's hard to deny.
Oh yeah. I mean, when when I topped the scales at 347 pounds, nobody really even thought anything of it. I was just a big guy, and 275 pounds now. It's a huge difference, and it's only been less than 4 months.
So In that time, have you been back to the doctor, and have you talked to the doctor about no more blood pressure meds, or you just got rid of them yourself?
I know my the last blood pressure medication I went off of was a dual medication, and then they were both maxed out. The other ones I was on were low dose. So when I got off of those, I got off those on my own. I just started eliminating them when I checked my blood pressure because I was getting lightheaded and dizzy, and my blood pressure was low. Then it was like the first one I took out was my nighttime one that I took. The second one I took out was the same one I took at night, but I took it away from the day. And I took out the third one, and when I would want to do the other ones, then I went to my doctor, and that was the first week of October. And I wanted her to take out the HCTZ part of the pill I was taking. She didn't want to do that, but I told her that's what I'm going to do. So she took it out. I took that pill for about 4 days and cut it in half. Took it for a couple more days after that, and my blood pressure was normal again. And I stopped taking that, and that's where I stopped.
And, like, have you been back to her and said, "Hey, guess what? Everything's normal."
Not yet. Um, that was October 2nd when I also had my blood drawn, my blood work done October 2nd. I'm waiting for 90 days from then, and I'm going to have it tested again in December or January here. That way I can see where my cholesterol is, where my markers are for everything else. And there's a few more tests I want to have or do too after finding out some information. So,
Nice. It's great that everything seems to be going in the right direction. So, how are you eating day to day? How many times, and what are the meals made up of?
well, up until last week, I'd eat 2 meals a day. The first, I'd have breakfast. It'd be 68 eggs and then 8 ounces of meat, whether it was sausage or bacon or ground up hamburger or leftover steak from the night before. But it would be about 8 ounces of steak. And then at night, it'd either be a pound of ground beef, a ribeye, a New York strip. I like my steaks. Steaks are awesome.
Yeah, oh, nice. So and when you cook your steaks, is it pretty do you are you having them pretty rare, or do you cook them pretty well?
Oh, I cook them medium rare.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
I love cooking on cast iron. I've got 4 cast iron pans sitting on the stove at all times. So I cook everything in cast iron.
And how is it getting meat in North Dakota? Is it, kind of reasonably priced?
It's not bad. Well, I started August 22nd. The next Saturday, we went to Costco. So I already knew where I was going to go to get the meat I needed. So, oh, and I forgot shrimp too. I love shrimp. So uh, a lot of the meals that night will have uh, 2 servings of shrimp. So if it's the medium shrimp, it's like 16. If it's the larger ones, it's 10. But I like my shrimp too. And every once in a while, I'll throw in some salmon. I've never really cooked salmon until about a month and a half ago, and got some wild caught salmon and tried that, and I like that.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Um, so at this stage, you feel like it's carnivore all the way for you?
Yeah, when I told my wife originally when I started, I was going to do this for 30 days, and the first 2 weeks I knew I wasn't going to go back. So it's just a world of difference on how I feel inside, and everything seems a lot easier to deal with and to for me to be around people. Up until now, I don't like people, but I don't mind them now.
So are you still in that office job that you had?
No, no. I left that in 2015. I'm in an office job now again, but It's completely different field and everything. So I've left one, went to another, and from 2015 to now, I've worked my way up. So
Right.
I do sit in office again for a good part of the day.
And how do you feel day to day in the office? Like, you're pretty clear-headed? You feel like, in comparison, you're able to kinda get through the day better, make better decisions, that kind of thing?
Well, I think I can. Yeah, it's a lot better. It's not as stressful as it was before. I can deal with the changes, and we have a lot of changes that happen that's not in our control. So it it helps a lot. It's a lot more clear thinking. I can troubleshoot and figure out what needs to be done a lot easier for what we're doing.
I think that's a good sign, if you're able to deal with change well, because that's one of the most frustrating things within a company, because you get into your pattern, you get things down, everything's going smoothly, and then there are changes, whether it's because of management or it's legislative or whatever it is, and it just throws everything up into the air, right?
It does, and we have outside things that cause us to have to change what we're doing, and we come up with what we're doing for a month at a time, and then a week after we finish, the whole thing changes and everything gets thrown away. It's like, all right, we'll try it again.
Uh, and yeah, that can be frustrating, so dealing with that's good, like, when you've laid out all your plans and then that all gets thrown up in the air, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Um, so if you were giving someone advice about getting started with carnivore, what would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to do some research. I mean, go to YouTube, look up the doctors that are doing it, look at all the people who are doing this and who are improving their health. For everybody that tries carnivore and actually sticks to carnivore and does it are improving themselves. Um, there's a ton of information out there, and even if you don't look for the carnivore people, you can actually look at the studies that are out there that show that this diet is actually better than anything else that you're going to get. And listening to the people who are right now doing it, and listening to the doctors that are doing this and are giving the advice, who are actively doing this stuff in their practices. Um, Look at them and listen to what they have to say. That's your best information that you're going to get.
Yeah, nice advice. Um, so Lance, how can people reach out to you? Do you have a YouTube channel or any way of getting in contact?
Well, I've actually just started. I've got a couple of videos for the North Dakota Carnivore. You can email me at lwo767 at gmail. That's my email that goes with it. So,
No worries. I'll link to your YouTube and your email in the show notes.
okay.
Lance, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.